Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is directed by George Lucas, and it stars pretty much all of the great stars we knew of that generation, and even today. They're very well-respected and very well-loved actors and actresses. I mean, we have Liam Neeson. I'm not sure if you heard of him. You got Ewan McGregor and Natalie Portman. You know, these little, star-studded cast people that you may not know about. And The Phantom Menace is actually about a few things in this film, but the primary focus is our main Jedi. Qui-Gon, Jinn, and Obi-Wan Kenobi come across Anakin Skywalker, a boy with unusual strong powers of the Force. Now, while at the same time of this, we also have the Sith, who are slowly coming back. And along with the rebellion uprising of Padmé, otherwise known as Queen Amidala, ruler of the Naboo. The Trade Federation are looking to invade the planet, force Amidala to sign a treaty to kind of make this whole thing legal, and her prompt response is, of course, no. She rebels along with the Jedi by her side, and thus we get the rest of the movie. And if that does sound like a lot, it is, and this is probably one of the reasons why this movie did not do as good as it should have. So I should tell you all up front that this is not a traditional review for Star Wars. Many reviewers and critics have reviewed these set of films. I'm now becoming one of them. But a wide variety of reviewers, I would assume, and as I have seen, hated this film. So where do I reside? I like it fine. I mean, I would agree with the criticisms I heard, and I've had some of my own. Jar Jar Binks is a tad annoying, but he didn't get to me as much. The dialogue is definitely a bit stiff, and the characterization kind of seemed like it was made on the spot. We don't know these people, but the movie does not assume that we do, so they play the middle. They characterize them as they go along. Tonally, the movie isn't consistent. The effects are actually really good, and I believe the pacing is actually not as bad as you may think. And this is where we're going to go into my style of the review. If you're not familiar with this, the Universe Reviews breaks down the events of film and TV shows that create a universe. I started with the Arrowverse, so you can definitely go check that out because that was my first episode that I've ever made. This is technically my second. And of course, with the Arrowverse, I'm taking a break from that until the new year when the actual, stories come back, the episodes come back. It's only when it's relevant. If you want to know for yourself, go watch it. But by this point, I'm pretty sure you've made up your mind you're not going to watch it. So here we go. I'm talking about Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So let's break this down. So the movie starts us off with the plot coming in very thick. And, should I say, almost too politically. Let's watch every kid zone out right about now. And done! So after the opening crawl, Jedi, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Qui-Gon both arrive to negotiate terms with their blockade. And that doesn't go well. Period. I mean, just immediate action. Here we go. The Viceroy gets spooked, attack the Jedi, and fight their way through the hallways to get to the Viceroy, but again, all that fails. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon split up and head down to the planet Naboo, where the Viceroy looking to invade Naboo, and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon meet up down there. Qui-Gon is the first we see to be running from the beginning stages of the invasion and runs into the infamous Jar Jar Binks. And this is where our fandom is torn. And I know a lot of people consider him the worst character in the history of the characters of Star Wars, and maybe in any other fandom. Me? He was tolerable. I think he was his most annoying during the journey into the planet core, but we'll get into that. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon reunite and use Jar Jar's help to go through the Gungans' lair, which is underwater. They both meet Boss Nass, and if I'm not mistaken, Qui-Gon totally used the Force to make Boss Nass give him the bongo and Jar Jar Binks away. I mean, he did wave his hand.
Your gods demand that his life belongs to me now.
He could have manipulated events. He could have. They get through the planet core, and this is the first highlight of dialogue characterization of a character most people hate. Jar Jar freakishly talks throughout the entire segment.
Cause maybe one or two little bitty accidentes.
Freaking out about everything. But he is the only one we get to know. We really don't know Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan. Maybe that's why we hate Jar Jar so much. Too much focus on him and not the characters we were supposed to care about.
When they use a thinking, we're in trouble!
So the Jedi arrive to the surface and sneak around to find the Queen Amidala being processed through the streets, and of course we get another lightsaber battle. And mind you, this is all in like 20 minutes. So we got like 3 lightsaber battles of these Jedis just swiping away at droids, and they're doing stuff. They're literally doing stuff. There's a little bit of dialogue, and then boom, here's some more action for you. So, yet again, another lightsaber battle ensures the escape of the Queen. The Jedi and the Queen's people are heading to Tatooine because, you know, the blockade kind of, you know, nicked their ship and they had to repair it, but their hyperdrive is leaking. Of course, not before we are introduced to 2 new characters. When the cruiser leaves the blockade, the Viceroy have to report to Lord Sidious that their cruiser is beyond their range now. Here we are met with the Darth Maul, badass mofo, hand me my lightsaber, the one that says bad mofo on it, to find the cruiser himself.
He will find your lost ship.
On the ship, R2-D2 is introduced by saving the ship and is commended. So they arrive on Tatooine, and this is where we get to know Qui-Gon a bit more. This is more center-focused on Qui-Gon now when it's on Tatooine. Jar Jar comes for some reason. R2-D2 comes along with for more reasons than just to kind of be like, oh look, it's R2! Oh, what is he doing in this movie? And a handmaiden Padmé comes too. They find Watto, a dealer with a generator they need for the ship, and here we are met with the next critical figure, if not the worst received, boy version of Anakin Skywalker.
I'm a person and my name is Anakin.
Now, this whole entire scene has a lot going on. A hiccup in the plan is to get out of Tatooine as Qui-Gon needs actual money to get a part that they need. Anakin is being introduced with not so great dialogue, and acting, talking to Padmé.
I'm sorry. I don't fully understand. This is a strange place to me.
I'm sorry. I just don't find that dialogue very believable as much as it is likable. The whole thing between Padmé and Anakin, I don't like it. And Jar Jar is being clumsy throughout the entire scene, and it's all a bit too much. So our characters are stuck in a rut, but if it were for Jar Jar being so clumsy again, they wouldn't have run back into Anakin, who helps them find shelter at his place. A transmission is sent to Naboo, which is bait to establish a connection trace, and the Sith trace it. And we get the only bit of dialogue from Darth Maul.
Tatooine is sparsely populated. If the trace was correct, I will find them quickly, Master. At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
So, to make a long story short, Anakin gets to know his newfound friends and enters into a pod race to help Qui-Gon obtain the part they need. And here we are to probably one of the most entertaining segments of the film. And I know many of you guys see this as a cash grab for more toys and video games, but when I was growing up and even looking at it now, I'm not seeing it that way. I just saw a really entertaining chase sequence, a race sequence that had great special effects, fun action, and minimal dialogue. Moving forward, Watto releases Anakin and he comes with, and the parts for the cruiser is replaced and repaired. Now they head off to
Anakin, drop!
Oh, wait!
Go! Tell them to take off!
Darth Maul attacks, and it's a short-lived battle. Oi. It's okay. We know what's coming. We can't have our dessert yet. So Amidala and company make it to Coruscant, and for the brief time, our characters separate by their own means. Amidala speaks with Palpatine. Palpatine feels the Senate will side with nobody and do nothing about this invasion onto Naboo. Long story short, Amidala decides through persuasion that her current Supreme Chancellor is ineffective and they need a new one. Palpatine is elected, but by this time, Amidala decides to go back to Naboo to take back her planet. And so on the flip side, we get the Jedi side. You got Qui-Gon motions for the Jedi to train Anakin, but they say no. But they are more interested in the Sith returning, so they send Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon with Amidala to retake Naboo in hopes to flesh out the Sith. With the help of the Gungans and with a little help from Queenception,
I am Queen Amidala.
things are right back on track. As soon as Lord Sidious says,
Wipe them out. All of them.
You can almost hear your mind going, "Oh, thank God!" So the battle begins. Gungans fight an army of droids to keep the droids away from the city. The fighter pilots in space go to destroy the Trade Federation ship to deactivate the droids. Amidala and crew infiltrate Theed, which is the capital of Naboo, and they go and try and talk to the Viceroy. And then it arrives.
We'll handle this.
Duel of the Fates. Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul all hash it out, and it's easily the best fight. Most entertaining segment. I know that I said the pod race is one of, there's just two scenes here, the pod race and the fight between Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan. Oh, I love this scene so much. Everyone loves it, to my understanding, and I'm included with that. So the control ship was destroyed. Qui-Gon is mortally wounded, and Amidala, or should we say Padmé, because of Queenception,
I am Queen Amidala.
is seemingly back to normal, despite Qui-Gon dying. And the Trade Federation is diminished, but Palpatine is now elected Chancellor, Obi-Wan is a Jedi Knight, and will train Anakin, but not without reservation from Yoda. Gungans and Naboo make peace, and thus ends the first episode to The Phantom Menace. And all in all, this movie's just a little underwhelming, stiff in some parts, and some characterization problems. The actors playing Anakin and Jar Jar do receive a lot of criticism, but I, myself, did not have a huge problem with them. In the end, to myself and to most, this movie is easily just okay. But I don't hate it. I rather enjoy it. Darth Maul is easily the best villain. I wish to God they didn't kill him so quickly. Nevertheless, this episode was more in tune of the original trilogy, to me, with the set pieces, decent special effects, and adequate story, if not heavily political in this one. And let's face it, the original Star Wars is better, so comparing Phantom Menace to Star Wars would be like almost an insult to some, but that's not what I'm getting at here. And I felt like this was more on the right track of use of tone and pacing. But we all know Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, is going to change all of that. And that, my friends, is what is next. Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, when it comes down to these videos, this is something new I'm trying. I'm just talking about these movies and TV shows that intertwine with one another to build a universe. And I would love for this to be a part of your world. If you can, hit that like button. If you can, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, until next time.